Michael Jordan. At 29, Michael Jordan had already won 2 rings with the Bulls. But in Barcelona, he wasn't defending anything. He was hunting something that had never existed before. Now, 63, Jordan sold his majority stake in the Charlotte Hornets in 2023, joined NBC's NBA coverage, and somehow still owns every room he walks into. Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson was 32, a man who'd already changed the sport forever, showing up to the Olympics just to prove greatness has no ceiling and no clock. Now 66, Magic is a billionaire, part owner of the LA Dodgers, Washington Commanders, and LAFC, and just received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Larry Bird. Larry Bird was 35, fighting through injuries that would have ended most careers, playing for his country one last time because he simply couldn't say no. Now, 69, Bird lives privately in Indiana, far from the cameras, which is exactly how the most competitive player of his generation has always preferred it. Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley was 29, averaging 18 points per game in Barcelona, collecting his only major international gold and doing it with pure, unfiltered Barkley chaos. Now, 63, Sir Charles is still the loudest voice in basketball, anchoring inside the NBA on ESPN after TNT lost its NBA rights in 2025. Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing was 30, the anchor of this front court, a man so dominant that having him as your third or fourth option felt genuinely unfair to the world. Now, 63, Ewing serves as basketball ambassador for the New York Knicks, the team that defined his legacy after coaching Georgetown for 6 seasons. Karl Malone. Karl Malone was 29, the mailman, delivering punishment every night in Barcelona at a level that made the entire world realize the NBA was another universe. Now 62, Malone lives in Arkansas, runs his car dealership and farming operations, and has stayed almost completely off the grid. John Stockton. John Stockton was 30, the most efficient player on the most talented roster ever assembled, making everything look simple because he'd made it look simple his whole career. Now, 64, Stockton lives privately in Spokane, avoids the spotlight completely, and remains the most quietly respected point guard in basketball history. David Robinson. David Robinson was 26, the Admiral, an Olympic veteran already, bringing military discipline and spiritual conviction to the most star-studded roster in basketball history. Now 60, Robinson is a Spurs minority owner and philanthropist and co-founded the Carver Academy Charter School, building more than championships in San Antonio. Clyde Drexler. Clyde Drexler was 30, Clyde the Glide, who flew through Barcelona's arenas with that effortless style that made even the world's best defenders look slow. Now 63, Drexler lives in Texas, makes occasional media appearances, and runs private business ventures, far removed from the sport he once soared above. Chris Mullin. Chris Mullin was 29, one of the purest shooters the game has ever produced, a perfect fit in a lineup where every single player was a weapon. Now, 62, Mullin resigned from St. John's as head coach in 2019 and does occasional TV analyst work on the East Coast. Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen was 26, already a champion, already elite, somehow still the underrated one on a roster full of legends. That takes a special kind of greatness. Now 60, Pippen published his memoir Unguarded in 2021, stays active in media and endorsements, and still won't let the world forget what he built. Christian Laettner. Christian Laettner was 22, the most controversial selection in Olympic history, the only college player on the roster and the one who had to earn every minute. Now, 56, Laettner works in real estate development, makes occasional basketball media appearances, and remains the most talked about roster decision in Dream Team history. Chuck Daly, head coach. Chuck Daly was 62, the man who'd already conquered the NBA with Detroit, called to lead 12 legends without creating chaos, and somehow pulled it off perfectly. He passed away in 2009 at 78, leaving behind 2 Pistons championships, 1 Olympic gold, and a Hall of Fame legacy that defined what an elite coach looks like. Lenny Wilkens, assistant coach. Lenny Wilkens was 54, a Hall of Famer as both player and coach, the quiet architect beside Daly who understood winning culture better than almost anyone in basketball history. He passed away on November 9, 2025 at age 88, triple Hall of Famer whose death closed one of the last living chapters of the Dream Team story. Mike Krzyzewski, assistant coach. Mike Krzyzewski was 45, the Duke mastermind brought in to bridge the college and professional worlds. First sign he'd be the man to coach Team USA forever. Now 79, Coach K retired from Duke in 2022 after 5 NCAA titles and walked away from Team USA after winning Tokyo Gold in 2021. PJ Alessimo. Assistant coach. Carlesimo was 43, the experienced college and pro-trained assistant, quietly kept this staff organized while 12 egos and legends needed game planning every single night. Now 76, Carlesimo works as an ESPN basketball analyst, his last NBA head coaching role behind him. Still respected everywhere the game is discussed, his team went 8-0 in Barcelona. They didn't just win, they won by an average of 44 points. They made entire countries feel like the opponent. But time beats everyone. Two coaches never made it to 2026. One player was the most hated selection alive and became the most discussed. One carried a country on his back after the games ended. This wasn't just a team, it was a snapshot of what humans are capable of, at the peak and in the decades that follow. But if you were building the 1992 Dream Team from scratch, you could only keep 8 of these 12 players, who gets cut? Who's the one player on this entire roster who doesn't belong in that gold medal photo? Drop your answer below, and if this video hit different, if it made you feel something for this team, just smash that like button.